Hi, I'm Vishal Ren. In this video tutorial we would see the asteroid belt of the Jupiter planet. The basic idea is to how to make the particles just go around in a circular shape, and the particles are replaced by some models which tumble around their journey. So how to achieve that we'll see in this video. So I'll just keep it very simple. This tutorial just covers some basic idea of it. We'll not go to the aesthetics of the final this thing. We just want to get some idea how it works actually. So it is very important to take build a model for the track of the particles, especially in NURBS. So what I do is I will create a circle here and create one more circle. So these two circles I'll be using to apply loft. So preferably I want this NURBS geometry because the parameterization on the NURBS surface is pretty okay to make the particles travel over the path here. I mean this shape. Polygons are not suggested. So what I do is I make use of this geometry to emit the particles around. So if I generally see this model, it is a simple NURBS surface whose parameterization has to be fixed. You could actually add more subdivisions to it. So you have got a number of subdivisions around it. Earlier it was little bit lower. That's not really important here, but I just added some subdivisions. And what I do is I delete the history once I feel the shape is okay. Then I delete these two curves. Now I'll apply rebuild surface. Rebuild surface I'll be using for rebuilding the parameter range. If you generally see this model, this is V direction, you could see a green line, and this is U direction. So generally we will distribute the particles along this V and make them travel along U. So to make the particles travel along it, there we'll have something called parameter U and V. So it has got some numbers. So in U, as there are 16 subdivisions, the parameter range is from 0 to 16. So I just want to fix it. So I want to make that from 0 to 16, I want to make it to 0 to 1 by just using rebuild surfaces tool. Rebuild tool generally rebuilds the model on whatever specific points you want. So here, if you could see, keep option in this, I'll keep number of spans. That means I'm not going to change the shape of this model at all. But what I want is the parameter here. Right now the parameter range is based on number of spans. So as number of spans in U is 16, so parameter range is from 0 to 16, which is this one. So from this mode I just want the parameter range should be from 0 to 16, should be converted 0 to 1. So I apply rebuild and you could see it is now 0 to 1. Now let me select this model and apply Emit from object, surface tool. So I make the particles emit from the surface. Let me select the particles and change the particle type to spheres. Now you should see particles coming out that way. So the particles are going down because you could see the geometry's normal is facing down. The blue line here in the model is representing the normal direction. So the particles are going down, and nothing is going to happen with that because I'm not going to use anything related to this. Whether the particles go up or down, there is no problem. What I do is I select the particles and the model and apply goal. So I use a goal weight of 1 here and create. Now what you see is the particles stick around the surface along their control vertex points. So what I do is I select the particles, and in particle in per particle array attributes, I'm going to add some options here. That is, under add dynamic attributes you have general. In general you have new, particle and control. I'll go to the particle and choose this option called goal U and goal V. So that adds these options called goal U and goal V. As this is V direction, I select the particle. In goal V, I'll write an expression. So particle shape 1 dot goal V is equals to a random range of 0 to 1. So what I'm trying to tell here is I'm making the particles to stick over the surface based on the value you have given here. So I said goal V 0 to 1, it means the particle will anywhere stick along the surface on V direction anywhere from 0 to 1. So 0 to 1 is the number which I've discussed in parameters. I mean, parameterization is something like it's a point location on the surface. That point will be denoted in U and V points. So it's basically a 2D vector. So if I am saying V, I am telling the particle to stick around along the V direction. Where you want it to stick? Anywhere between 0 to 1. So if I just create it and then hit play, the particles will just as the surface has been the emitter, it emits, and immediately the particle emitted, it attracts to that point to which you have given the number. And if I generally write a similar expression in U, and if I just play, what you should see is the particles scattered. I'll just change the color of the particle so that you could see it clearly. So you could see the particles scatter along this total disk. So that's very interesting, but how do I make them just revolve around this Jupiter planet or traveling along this disk? So as the axis is U direction, I'll just go to goal U and write a runtime expression. In runtime expression, I'll say whatever the goal u value you have, to that add a number by every frame. So to do that, I can write particle shape1 dot goal u is equals to particle shape1 dot goal u plus 0.01. So whatever the value is there, it's okay. Every time it adds a number, and that gives me this fantastic particles traveling around this disk continuously. So every time it's like the emitter is emitting the particles, and particles are keep on emitting them, so it's fine. I want particles which are already has been created and then revolving around it, so we'll try to deal with that. Firstly, so I just if you just see in particle shape here, in time attributes there is an option called start frame. Why I have to mention that is, if I just go to minus 25 minus 25, and if I play until 25 frames, until 0 frame before 25 frames, the particles are not generated. So here if I say my start frame is minus 25, so the emission would happen from minus 25 frame. Why? Because I just want the particles has to be created before the first frame, and later from first frame it should look very normal. So I just go to emitter and just enter some 500 particles. See, aesthetics, it's up to you how many particles you want, how you want the look. You can easily adjust. So I'm just, as I said, it's only to get some idea. So I'm entering 500 in my minus 25th frame, applying a set key, and I just go to minus 15th frame, 0 set key. Now if I just play, now you're not adding more particles to it. Sorry, let me just see. I need to make it 0. So what I've done is, in minus 25th frame the emission rate is 500, on minus 15th frame emission rate is 0. So it emits particles and that's it, and that particles keep on revolving along this specific path you mentioned. Fine. And if you feel the number of particles are not sufficient, always you have a luxury to add that particles to your, that's very nice. But all particles traveling at same speed looks like you have selected a particles and you're rotating it. It does not look real. So we'll just try to control that part. And also they are at same level. If I just go to the side view, you could see they are very much sticked to the plane. So let us adjust that thing. So I'll just go to the particle attributes, and here I'll add a custom attribute in per particle array attributes. So go to general, in new, generally it is asteroid belt, so these are asteroids. Asteroid speed is what I want to create. So this controls the speed of the particles. As I said, they are traveling very fast, you want them to be little bit slow, or like, you can generally do it. It's per particle array attribute, and it's a float data type. So you get this asteroid speed option. Here asteroid speed is equals to random range 0.001 to 0.2. I'm very intentionally giving this big range to show you. Later I'll tweak back the number. So asteroid speed is what I have given. In goal expression runtimes, here instead of adding this 0.01, I'll add that asteroid speed. So copy this and paste it here. So every frame it takes a number which you have mentioned there. For different particle it takes a different number. That leads to, what do you say, slow to speed of the particles. Let me actually see my playback speed. It is real time 24 fps, fine, but the range is too high, so let me go back and change my asteroid speed range. I could see now some particles are traveling with speed and some particles are traveling a bit slower. So that is what I am talking about. The variation should be very subtle. Now I'll just use goal offset option to existing positions of these particles. I just want to offset them little bit, so I'm using goal offset. And in goal offset, as goal offset is a vector attribute or vector data type, goal offset is equals to, I'm not doing any modification in x-axis, so it is 0, and in y-axis I'm just adding a little bit of shift, so random range -1 to +1, then 0. Now if I just play, if you see the side view, now they are little bit up and down. So that is what I was talking about. So this gives a little bit more decent look to the effect. So these all are asteroids revolving around the Jupiter. Now how to just make them tumble? So let me select the particles first of all and change my particle type to points. You would see, and here again I'm not into aesthetics, so I've got these three primitives. One is cylinder with 4 subdivision axes. I've got cone with 4 subdivision axes and a cube, and they're color coded red, green and blue. So I'm going to select that 3 of them, and in particle instance or replacement you got cube, cone and cylinder with 0, 1 and 2 object index in instancer tool. Let me show you once again. Particle, instancer, okay, these 3. So these 3 objects will be added over the particles, so just pick them and just create. The first object will be defaultly seen here, but I want that 3 objects. I just want to hide the NURBS plane because there's no use of it right now to see. Now what I do is I just select the particle and I want to scatter these 3 objects, not just cube. So I just go to instancer and we have something called object index, which is a float data type. I need to feed something into it, and it takes that commands and executes here. So here are some default or basics software provided attributes. I'll just create my own custom attribute here. So general, new, I'll just name scatter. Per particle attribute I said float or vector, so you need to very specific. If I choose float, then only you could see that in the list. If you choose vector, you don't see this option here. So I said scatter, object index is scatter, but what is scatter I didn't tell. So scatter is equals to random range between 0 to as there are 0, 1 and 2, 3 object index was given for the instancer. If I generally pick 2, the last object will not be considered in the scatter. So always I add a number to the existing number of objects there. So I just choose 0 to 3 and then I hit play, and you see that 3 objects are scattered along this. It's fine. Now what's with the tumble? How do we actually achieve this tumble effect? Tumble, again, as I want some objects to be tumbled little bit fastly and some I want little bit slower. So what I generally do is I go to general and add a custom attribute which controls the orientation. So I say ast orient float per particle attribute. So you got ast orient, asteroid orient. So I will use that option later. We'll first rotate it. Sorry. This attribute which I have created is to control the speed of it. I want another attribute here. I'll just give asteroid rotation. Rotation. Let me actually delete that. The reason I have deleted is rotation is a vector attribute. So asteroid rotation I have taken float, so I need to pick vector, so I'm choosing the vector here, and you have got asteroid rotation. Asteroid rotation is equals to, I'm using greater than less than symbols, and say random 360 degrees in x-axis, in y-axis and in z-axis. I need to end this expression here with the semicolon. Now if I play, I didn't get any orientation because asteroid rotation has got expression, but I have to tell that in instancer rotation should be asteroid rotation. Now you get this nice rotation, but this has scattered the particles, the 3 primitives. I mean, I'm talking about the orientation. They are very much scattered. They are not aligned in same way. Now what I want is they should progressively revolve along their axis and move forward. So for that I have to write a runtime expression. But before that, as I said asteroid orient, I have create an attribute there. I need to tell what is that. I say asteroid orient is equals to random range. So most of my effect works with random. 0.1 to 2. So I want some of them rotate fastly, some of them rotate slowly. This is the increment of orientation per frame, the value. And now I just in asteroid rotation runtime expression, asteroid rotation is equals to asteroid rotation plus asteroid orient. So now if I just play, you should see they are tumbling nicely. I'm worried about the size. So very similar workflow. Asteroid scale. Scale is a vector attribute, so per particle array vector. And generally when we do this scale, where is the scale, man? Yeah, sometimes it does not refreshes the options. So I'll write the expression. Asteroid scale is equals to random range 0.1 comma 0.2. So I am scattering the scale here in X, Y, Z axis. So I said asteroid scale, I have to connect it here. So that actually makes the objects look smaller. Which are this? So that's cool. And generally in this particular scale expression, there is a chance of non-proportional scale of the object. So we can actually control it as we did it in if you remember in the rotation. I've taken asteroid rotation and I've added in runtime expression asteroid orient. So very similar workflow can be created here, and you can achieve a proportional scale. Here there is a chance of non-proportional scale. So this is how you could actually achieve this asteroid belt particles. Let me actually you got these points here. So I can select the particles and hide, as the instancer is a separate object, particle is a separate object. I don't want instancer to be visible. As you could see, some yellow dots, and you got this fantastic asteroids belt. So hope you like this video. Thank you very much.